Hi, and welcome to this week's podcast. I'm Mod Matt here, and we're here to talk about RuneLabs, and with me I have...
Hi, I'm Mods Kelpie. I'm a project manager on RuneScape, and for the last few months I've been working on RuneLabs.
And I'm Mods Osborne, so I'm narrative designer, and I also get the privilege of kind of leading the Guardians who are going to work on the first RuneLabs update.
And so we have a podcast veteran and a podcast first-timer.
Newbie.
Today.
Yeah, I'm a little nervous.
Don't worry, I'm sure Dave won't hurt you.
Yes, I'll guide you through it.
Straight
Be your
into,
mentor.
Straight into the questions then. What is RuneLabs?
RuneLabs is a new way for players to suggest their ideas to Jagex, and what makes it different to the suggestions forms is that there is a commitment to it. So we are committing to taking every month a new suggestion and making that and putting it into the game.
Yeah, it's a natural extension of player power as well. It's this idea of getting the community to drive what we're producing. Some of the great updates like we have with Elf City, but like this time the ideas come from the players, and the players determine what gets to the top, rises to the top.
Yeah,
Indeed.
it kind of pulls the suggestions and the Power Labs, the player...
Power Labs, that's a better name.
Power Labs, player power forward, doesn't it? And really hones it into a continuous development.
Yeah,
experience.
definitely.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So, how does it work?
Players submit their ideas.
Where do they submit their ideas?
They submit their ideas on the RuneLabs site, which you can find.
Which is linked from the front page of
it is indeed.
the website, yeah?
Yep. Or if you go to the social tab in game, it's linked there as well.
Right.
Players can also support other players' ideas.
Okay.
And then throughout the month, the top supported ideas will be reviewed by us, Jagex.
Yeah.
And the top few will then go to a player power poll, and the winner of that will be made into the game.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how can Jagex possibly look through every idea? I think actually I can answer a bit of this in that I am looking through every idea.
So how many ideas are we at the moment?
I believe we're over 6,000 now.
6,000.
Yeah, it's about 6,800 as when we came downstairs.
I mean, you just look
this.
at that kind of the bottom of it. It's something like 283 pages of it, or something akin to that. It's astonishing.
Yeah.
But I think the point is we're individually not looking at every idea.
Yes. Whilst we may be moderating and looking through all the ideas from moderation point of view, in terms of actually reviewing the ideas, we will not be going through all of them. We'll be only looking at the most top supported ideas. So myself, Mod Osborne, Mod Dean, at the very least, and probably several others, will be each day have a meeting where we look at probably like from the first page of most supported ideas and be reviewing each of those, making sure that they, one, fit the rules of RuneLabs, and then two, fit the current criteria.
Right, okay. So we've mentioned criteria now, so I'll hop to another one of my handy questions. So when we say to criteria, what do we mean by criteria?
Criteria is, when we're developing projects, we need to factor in a number of things. Scope is one of them, so that's how long it takes to develop it. We also, because RuneScape is a big game, has lots of different things like quests, combat, skills. We need to make sure we have a good mix of ideas because different players like different things. Yeah. And so when we're deciding on what to work on throughout the year, we make sure we have a good mix. And therefore, when Mod Osborne is given projects, he'll have to decide how much resources, how much time he's going to spend on it. And so essentially he's creating a set of criteria for himself, and stakeholders will also help guide him and decide those sort of things.
A case study of the first one, which Kelpie came to me and said, like, could your team do it? Yeah. And we thought that let's have a medium one to start off. Yeah. And so we're not starting off small, but we can also get something out relatively quickly. Yeah. So you can see the kind of the results of RuneLabs. And also, we didn't want to kind of restrict people too much. A lot of people are going to be having those ideas, just being sitting on those ideas like golden eggs, wanting to get them out there. And if you restrict too much, then there's going to be a lot of frustration. So we actually kept it relatively open. That doesn't mean that future criteria won't be more defined. It might be that we decide, you know what, we need a quest for this year. We haven't got enough quests allotted in our schedule, and then it might be open purely to quests, and that's what that competition that month will be about.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if it's a case of the first few criterias for the first few months of RuneLabs are probably all going to be quite open. Yeah. But if it's a case that the first 2 or 3 are all combat-related ideas, for example, then we'll probably then say the following one, then it's this size scope, and it can be anything bar combat to make sure we do have
to make
keep
sure
a
there's
mix.
a balance of what goes into the game.
Yeah.
And really, like, some people feel like criteria restricts things, but the point I want to make is really that's the exact same restrictions that put on the team, and the team don't feel like they're restrictive at all. I mean,
that's absolutely
definitely
right.
compared to other games companies I've worked at and such.
Yeah.
So you said about supporting. Can you support an idea now?
You can't support an idea now. For the first week, we've opened it so you can only submit suggestions and add other suggestions to your wish list. Well, you can add your own as well. In fact, that's a very recommended thing to do so you can keep track of your own idea. What we wanted to do was make sure that everyone had a chance to get their ideas in before we enabled supporting, so that it wasn't the case that whoever put in the first idea had an unfair advantage over everyone else.
Okay.
So next week, we will enable supporting, and with that, you'll be able to prioritize, you'll be able to sort the list based on the number of supporters.
Okay.
And we'll also be adding in JMod messaging as well, so we'll be able to start commenting on jobs. And so if we feel like something doesn't fit the current criteria, we can then state
we
don't
state it so everybody knows. Yeah, we quite like this idea is fine, but it doesn't fit the current criteria.
Yeah, unfortunately, we're looking for a medium-sized project. Yeah. This is a large. You'll need to,
and it might be they want to amend it and then resubmit it, or
at the end of the month, what happens to the support?
So once the end of the month is finished and we switch over to the next criteria, we do reset all the support votes back to 0.
But the ideas all remain?
The ideas will remain, but because the criteria changes, because opinions change over time, because at times, throughout the year, there's at different times there's more players in the game than other times, we felt it's fair to reset the support number so that people who are currently playing the game get to support the ideas that they want, and it's not the case that one idea that was supported at the height of summer just sits there for the whole time and might not be.
Adds a bit of variety, doesn't it?
Appropriate.
Ideas don't dominate at the top of the list for long periods. It means that there's a bit of recycling around. But if those ideas are so good, then they will rise to the top each time.
They will rise back each time, and there might be a month where the criteria is more suited to the idea that comes back through.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that will affect the support.
And submitting your idea will never be a waste.
Yeah, absolutely right.
Your idea will not just.
So don't be downhearted if it doesn't get voted in, or only comes on page 3 or 4, not quite at the top, and things like that. You might have another chance next time round. Rabble rousing.
So you've explained why we haven't included support at the start, but there are some other features that I know we'd really like to include that aren't in there, that are missing as far as some players are concerned.
Yes. So lots of people. The big thing is searching, the ability to search for ideas.
Yep.
We very much knew we were releasing a system that didn't feature some core features like this. However, we were thinking a lot more long-term, and by launching RuneLabs now with limited features, it means that we can get ideas sooner and start developing them sooner, which means we'll start releasing RuneLabs projects during the summer, as opposed to waiting several more months to get all the features in and only releasing ideas at the end of the month.
Yeah. Perfect is the enemy of done. Which is an old phrase a project manager of mine used to use. If you wait for something to be perfect before you release it, you'll never get anything out the door.
Yeah.
And so releasing now, it's meant we're able to get development ideas out sooner.
Yes.
Otherwise, we'd be end of the year before anything was able to
come out. It is limited now, but come June, no one will remember the fact that we launched without searchability, because we'll have all these abilities in by then. And it also means that players can have a lot more of their say on how to shape RuneLabs.
Yeah.
The web team, who obviously created RuneLabs and did a terrific job, they've got a prioritised list of things to work on next.
Yeah.
And if there's something that players really want, then that's going to probably move up the list.
Yeah.
So players can also help shape RuneLabs.
I know there's been lots of discussion in the system development thread with the web dev mods about features that should or shouldn't be in there, like whether we include downvotes, etc.
Yeah, it may feel disorganised now, but the support function will naturally sort a lot of these ideas so you can feel like the first few pages are things of value.
And ultimately, in less than 48 hours, we've had over 6,000 ideas submitted. It doesn't matter what search function or tools you had. There's so many ideas gone in. You're never going to be able to find a perfect solution to find the one you want immediately. That will come with time.
Indeed.
Yeah. Okay. Do you have any tips for submitting a popular idea?
And that's one for you, Dave?
Yeah, go for it. I like brevity, I always do, and impact. So think about that title. That title is very important. You've got to kind of encourage people to click through.
Yeah.
If you include a lot of detail in your pitch, certainly about the minutiae of, the XP I gain or the rewards I gain for a particular combat update or the individual beats of a story or a quest, that's going to be... there may be people who do not upvote it because of one individual detail.
Yeah.
So maybe you're looking more, if it's a quest, at a scenario. I'd like to have a heist or a western or something like that in the game. That might be a better approach rather than drilling down to the detail.
Yeah.
That also obviously gives us a bit more leeway when we're creating the content as well. But yeah, I've seen a really good mix of looking at what's in game and improving it, and looking at some new stuff that hasn't been done before. So look on both sides of that fence, I guess.
Okay. So how does RuneLabs work with quests? Because obviously some people have a very set in their mind idea about what they want quests to be.
Yeah.
There's obviously a canon of lore that those quests that are being suggested can't interfere with directly. So how are we going to manage quests through RuneLabs?
Quests are almost a bit of a special case, because obviously there are intentions for the future. In terms of narrative, we've got things like the Dragonkin, the Stone of Jazz, and the Elder God storylines have certain beats we want to hit. There are certain things that we have planned that are somewhat immovable. But we also want to be flexible with the ideas. So it may be a case that if a quest rises to the top that affects something that is kind of something we've got planned for the future, or is slightly canon breaking, so is inconsistent with the game, what we will likely do is contact, so these Jagex kind of annotations we're able to do.
Yeah.
We'll probably contact that individual and ask if it's okay to make some amendments.
Okay.
Or suggest that they make some amendments. And, I mean, there's also another point of quests can, more than any other piece of content, be spoiled. If you know everything that's happening in the quest that's in the detail of a RuneLabs idea, it's going to ruin it for other people. So an element of surprise needs to be added, so we might come in and just have some creative license to change things. But ultimately, the spiritual kind of feeling of that quest will remain.
Okay. So, obviously, we've talked around about how to submit, etc. Are there any rules that people need to follow when submitting?
Yes, indeed. There is. As you would in the game and on the forums, the rules of RuneScape apply. You can go find those out on the wiki on the website if you need to. And then, in addition, there is some other rules for RuneLabs, which are all based on around what ideas we can and can't accept. So some of these rules are, we're only accepting ideas for RuneScape 3 at the moment.
Yep.
We aren't accepting ideas for old school or any other Jagex products.
No.
Or for any new Jagex products you might have ideas for.
Or the website or the app and things like this, things outside of the game.
It's only the development team that are committing to these ideas at this time. So we won't be accepting web engine, those sort of ideas.
We have seen some about get XJmod in a hat. I want to see a picture of them doing that. And
yeah, I mean, like,
so
I quite like seeing suggestions for other things as well. But as I said, like, we're only committing to developing these ideas. There's no reason though that we can't pass these ideas on. We're just not guaranteeing that we're actually going to do any of them.
Yes.
So I've seen you add banana suit to Solomon's store with a banana split emote, and quite like the idea.
Bananas. Yeah.
So we'll pass that idea on, but we will not be that will be kind of passed on but rejected.
I think that's an important thing to note, isn't it? That a lot of this, what we've been talking about, has been about getting things into polls and stuff like that. It's not only that. I think that people can miss that we're kind of grazing on these ideas, looking for sometimes smaller ideas that we might grab ourselves, and obviously, kind of acknowledge that. Let the person know, and it might become a ninja job. It might be something one of the retention teams grabs.
We got a category for ninjas, which is intended for like smaller, the usual ninja-like jobs.
Yeah,
but I think it's very good as well for if you have like ideas for rewards. That's something that's sometimes quite difficult to come up with.
Yeah.
And so great ideas for new rewards is always welcome.
Yeah.
They're unlikely to ever come to the top of the polls, top of the supported lists.
But because all the ideas are moderated.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're getting the moderators are going to go through looking, and they will. The community team will pick out those kinds of little ideas, and send them across to the people.
There's been some great ones that I've spotted that I've kind of forwarded on. The idea of a kind of a post-quest tracker, all of these kind of rewards that you gain post-quest that can easily be lost.
Yeah,
the notion of how to find them. It's a nice little idea. I mean, that's something I've forwarded on, and it's just an example of how we're grazing and picking these ideas up.
Great. What other enhancements, then, do we have planned to the RuneLabs setup? What other things are we going to add?
Well, as kind of mentioned earlier on, like searching has been a big thing that the community wants. It's something we knew we'd need to add fairly early on. So that's top of the list, pretty much. The web team still need to work on a few things. Some other important things, such as at the end of the month and like resetting the criteria and such.
Right, okay.
So those tasks come after that. But as well as that, there are things like when you go to your wish list, it automatically lists all the projects you've submitted yourself. We would like to create more like search and filters.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So we'll probably have like a randomized one. So that kind of like just brings up, when you look at the RuneLabs page, you get a random list of ideas.
Yeah.
That will help kind of just bring new ideas to your attention, so you're not always just looking at like the most supported ones.
Yeah.
We would then also like to add that in game, so where we currently have on the social menu, and in the same area where we have the player power polls, we have a new RuneLabs tab. Currently, that just contains a description of what RuneLabs is, and there's a link to RuneLabs. We would like to then turn that page into showing these kind of like random ideas, or maybe the hottest ideas at the time. I'm not too sure yet. Maybe it depends on maybe what players want the most.
Yeah.
But yeah, be adding that stuff. Beyond that, it's hard to tell. As I said before, it's very much we want players can help kind of mold what RuneLabs is. That, if we suddenly discover that we're getting lots of really, really good ninja ideas for it, then maybe we need to do more to support ninja ideas.
Yeah.
And you will change RuneLabs in that way, perhaps.
I think it's important to note that we've got kind of Raskas and his team are dedicating time to updating it. It's going to organically grow, and it's not as if we're not allocating time or resource to it.
Yes, definitely.
So what happens with duplicate entries then?
Duplicates is a tough one, because using the example of Elemental Workshop 5, say, if two people submit Elemental Workshop 5, but then they provide plenty of details, and those details are different, then those aren't duplicates.
Yeah.
So players then need to make a decision if they want to support one or the other, or both of them.
Yeah.
Maybe they're just keen on Elemental Workshop 5, they're not too bothered about the details, so they support both of them.
Yeah.
Perhaps they read through them and go, do you know what, I prefer this version over the other version, I'll support that one. So both of those will remain open. If we have two people submitting Elemental Workshop 5, and in the description they pretty much just say, Jagex, make this, then those are duplicates, and so one of those will be closed. What becomes tough then is, ideally we would close the second one, because the first person who submitted it, they put in there first. However, if for some reason people have seen the second one more often and have supported that one above the other one, then we probably need to have a discussion with both those people who've submitted that. It's in their best interest that Elemental Workshop 5 would be have the most supports. So we probably need to close the first one, but if we engage with those players any further on the making of Elemental Workshop 5, then we'll definitely include both of them.
So there's a little bit of discussion to be had about that as we go on.
I think we have to take things by case-by-case basis a lot of the time.
For our example, for how we are going to deal with the first one, if something gets to the top, we will look for other ideas that have the same name or have the same kind of feel, and we'll try to, when we're designing it, once it gets committed to, then we'll probably try to incorporate or look at those other ideas too.
Okay.
So you look at the kind of the web of similar ideas, and maybe we can incorporate them.
Yeah. From a moderation point of view, I know where it's pure duplicates, so where somebody's ended up putting the same idea 2 or 3 times in quick succession, say because of an internet problem, then we'll remove the oldest ones of those, so just one of them remains. So those kinds of duplicates hopefully shouldn't appear on for very long for anybody.
That's cool.
Okay, so we said a medium update. What's medium mean?
Medium's tough because, of course, there's no context. There hasn't been a RuneLabs update that's been large before it and small as well. What does medium mean? So it has been difficult. We tried to give a number of examples. So in terms of quests, like Shadow over Ashdale, Mighty Fall, Broken Home, we've given a few examples. If it was a D&D, we've given things like Sinkholes and Evil Tree and Gothixian Caches as potential examples. So we just tried to reel those out.
Yep.
For me, ideas are malleable. They flex.
Right.
So it's more about what I wouldn't submit for, or I wouldn't accept for a medium. Ideas that are huge, obviously. If you're looking for a skill or a skill rework, if those are done well, they would be large.
Yeah.
I hate to say it. More than likely, those will probably be rolled over to another competition month.
Yeah.
Something so small that is a ninja fix would probably not get taken by us because it just wouldn't do it justice.
Yeah.
I mean, it feels like we can just pop that out as a ninja fix or maybe as a retention update. Other updates can expand or decrease in size to fit that medium for me. Okay. So it's more about what it's not included, I guess, because I don't want to restrict.
No, that makes sense. Right, so last couple of questions for you now. There have been some brilliant ideas already submitted. Are there any particular favourites for each of you?
Well, I've already mentioned the banana split, the banana question, banana split. There's been some funny ones, such as please add god armors for all the other gods. Currently, there's only Bandos, which is currently in the game already.
Yeah.
So
there have been a few things where people have demanded we add them, and I've sat there going, but we've already got that precisely as you've detailed it.
I'm pretty sure there was one where it was add news to the lobby, which had just gone out this Monday.
Yeah, it had, yes.
So there's some funny ones. Some have a chuckle over some of those. I'll say camel stacking is in there. Someone added that. That was something that I came up with within 5 minutes, pretty much, for the video, and quickly knocked out some sort of design for it. I think you'll find it's not one person that's advocating.
This morning I saw about 5 different camel stacking ideas. So
I think it's got a chance. It was actually an interesting thing because for that video needed to fill up the interface with ideas so when it looks like it's busy when they're showing off how it works and such. So I was having to randomly quickly come up with ideas and came up with, I think, some gems like Slender Ham Halloween event. So HAM, Humans Against Monsters, of course. So maybe like a Slender Man in a big,
pink robe.
Yeah, big pink robe.
Appearing in your peripheral vision where you're least expecting it. Give you a tickle.
I've always been in favour of turning the Lumbridge Crater into a lake. I've seen some people submitting that stuff.
So we can run sailing skill in it, yeah?
Something like that, maybe.
Would you be disappointed if it was just in a lake? With your remote control boats?
Remote control boats? Yeah. That sounds like a holiday event to me, that.
Oh, that sounds lovely, doesn't it?
Summer holiday
Leia's favourite idea for that it was again something that I quickly knocked up for the interface, was to, instead of a lake, turn it into a loch, and then you can have the Loch Lum monster.
Oh no! Puns as well.
And and then I spoke to Modine about that, and we started discussing how you can have like social fishing where 2 people go in the rowboat and catch fish, and every now and then it pops up. You quickly have to take a screenshot of it and show it off to prove that it's real.
That's brilliant. I love that.
Yeah, just to typecast myself, I keep on looking at the quests.
Really?
I know, surprise. Obviously, I mean, we can trivialise and laugh at things, but I love the idea of Zaros as a big meteorite that hits Elf City and destroys it. It was like one of the first quests that I saw.
That would be a challenge by Mod Raven?
It would be a challenge, but no, there's been some lovely ones. There's an Araxor quest that I really like.
That was the very first one.
Oh yeah, of course.
The very first submission was an Araxor.
I was very pleased. There was a very good idea as the first one.
Yeah.
I was a little worried when we launched it and what the nature of the first ideas might be, but
yeah,
they're all very good.
And nice and open-ended in a way, a really, really nice submission for questing that it said, well, there's this bit in the game, I'd really like to expand it as a quest. Here are some ideas, but no spoilers, no...
Yeah, you're absolutely right. There's a nice kind of faction-based D&D, which is an item sync, which you can just kind of submit items to your chosen faction, which is really nice. It's you can lose hours to reading it when I should probably be working on 200th quest, but just a certain amount has been spent on.
Good. Yeah. Well, thanks very much, guys, and I'm really pleased with the way RuneLabs gone, and I hope to speak to you again soon in the future. When we'll do another podcast about RuneLabs, perhaps about what's at the top of the tree.
Yeah, sure thing. Or further into player power on the polls and such. Be up for that if people want it.
Yeah, and us working on it as well. So you're excited to do that. Yeah, so keep submitting ideas. Keep them coming, basically.
Brilliant. Thanks, everyone, and speak to you again soon. Bye.
Bye.